It's just before 9 a.m. on a cold January morning at Helena, Montana. A Laurel to Missoula train passes the depot and prepares for a winter run over Mullan Pass as a strong Canadian storm system slams into the Rockies, sending the temperature plunging below zero. Montana Rail Link's SD70 Aces are called into helper service and put on a fantastic show as they battle the mountain grade. In part one of our two-part series covering MRL's Montana Mainline, we followed trains along the Yellowstone River and over Bozeman Pass as they traced the route of the Northern Pacific. Now we continue west over a mountain railroad with 2.2% grades, numerous curves, and high trestles. Shot in January and July of 2011, you'll see the MRL tackling Mullan Pass in all types of weather as it climbs to the Continental Divide at Blossburg and the famous Mullan Tunnel. The action doesn't stop there, as trains race west along the 3rd, 4th, and 10th subdivisions through the fantastic scenery that is the hallmark of Montana. Catch trains as they follow the course of the Clark Fork River and scale high above the treetops on Evaro Hill. From perfect sunny skies to thunder showers to winter's Arctic chill. This is a trip to MRL country you won't soon forget. Join us now for MRL Montana Mainline Part 2, Helena to Sandpoint. Since October 1987, Montana Rail Link has operated over former Northern Pacific track in Montana and Idaho. Today, the MRL serves as a bridge line for BNSF Railway between Laurel, Montana and Spokane, Washington, providing service to many local customers along its 900 miles of track. We will be working west out of Montana's capital city of Helena over the 3rd subdivision to MRL's headquarters at Missoula. Trains have to cross over the Continental Divide via the 2.2% grades of Mullan Pass. Next, we will follow the 4th subdivision west to Paradise, then head back to Missoula via the 10th sub over Evaro Hill. We will then follow the Clark Fork River on the remainder of the 4th sub to Sandpoint, Idaho, the western terminus of MRL track. This is Helena, Montana, on the 30th day of January, 2011. Northern Pacific 460 number 1382 gets a dusting of snow on this brisk winter's morning. The mercury shows 5 degrees below zero as today's LM train departs the yard for Missoula. The nice warm cab of MRL 4302 is no doubt a welcome environment for the crew. As the train passes the depot, it enters the 3rd subdivision at milepost 0. Helena Junction is milepost 3.0. The yellow over lunar signal or approach restricting is for an eastbound BNSF manifest, which has just come over the Continental Divide on Mullan Pass. It kicks up the dry snow as it glides into town. Moving west to Tobin, BNSF 5623 leads 78 empty GATX hoppers down grade. The lights of Helena shimmer in the cool dark as the temperature dips to -11. A westbound heavy coal train heads into the night after picking up helpers at Helena Junction. From this perspective, you can clearly see the start of the mountain grade. The next morning, snow continues to fall as BNSF 8245 West passes the intermediate signals between Birdseye and Austin. The train is now battling the 2.2% grade through the Rockies to the Continental Divide at Blossburg. Two sets of helpers are stationed in Helena to assist trains over Mullan Pass. Helper set number 2 has been assigned to this train, although only the first 3 units are needed. As a safety precaution against derailments, 4 loaded coal hoppers were placed as a buffer between the helpers and a string of empty centerbeam cars. Helpers assist trains as far as Elliston, then are usually cut off and return light to Helena. Just below Austin at milepost 11, helper set number 2 is again seen gliding down grade on a chilly afternoon. Six months later at the same location, a morning LM train tackles the grade. SD45 number 382 applies sand to the rails as it leads the charge up the mountain. A Canadian national coal train is a nice surprise, as it has found its way onto MRL track. CN 2264 East coasts downgrade on its journey to the Powder River Basin. An added interest to this train is the rear DPU. CN 2430 is a GE C40-8M built in 1992. Returning to winter, helper set number 2 heads downgrade through the Big S curves at Austin, the location of a 9,721-foot siding. As MRL 4301 rolls through the final curve at milepost 13, a loaded grain train is adding helpers at Helena Junction. They will depart as soon as this train clears up at Tobin. About 30 minutes later, BNSF 4957 West leads 109 loaded grain hoppers through Austin. The lead engines appear above the train as they approach the west switch at Austin. Soon we hear helper set number 1 approaching. Heading up out of Austin and through Weed, trains climb through Iron Ridge as they continue to gain elevation. We see the LM again as it marches up the 2.2% grade. Farther up the hill at milepost 17, a light power move is making its way east. The train crosses 580-foot Greenhorn Creek Trestle as it heads down the mountain. This is the first of two curved trestles just east of Mullan Tunnel. Slowly approaching our location, BNSF 5931 West leads a 104-car PGE coal train across the trestle, rising 98 feet over Greenhorn Gulch. Trains continue upgrade past the former siding at Skyline and arrive at Austin Creek Trestle at milepost 19. With their assignment complete, the PGE train's helpers drop back downgrade to Helena. Also known as Skyline Trestle, a U.S. Forest Service road runs beneath it, giving us this perspective. The trestle spans 494 feet over Austin Creek and can be viewed from several locations. From a higher vantage point, a westbound manifest is seen crossing the trestle as it prepares to enter Mullan Tunnel. Trains roll through the Helena National Forest in Lewis and Clark County. The spring rains have kept the forest floor filled with vibrant colors of springtime in the Rockies. Hushed with a blanket of snow caught in winter's grip, January brings a different scene. The thermometer reads -3 as we snowshoe in above Austin Creek Trestle to catch a westbound clawing its way up to the Continental Divide. The railroad reaches the Continental Divide at an elevation of 5,548 feet. We are at the west bore of the 3,426-foot Mullan Tunnel, which in 2009 was daylighted by 400 feet to make it easier on hard-working locomotives working up the 2.2% grade. Thick diesel exhaust which poured out of the tunnel was known as the Black Fog of Blossburg. Today, the fog has been significantly reduced. A grain train struggles up to the summit of Mullan Pass, which is just behind the camera. The sound of dynamic brakes are finally heard as the last of the train makes it over the Continental Divide. The crew sounds relieved to have made it.
Coming through that tunnel, I had my doubts. So did I.
A high green at East Blossburg announces the approach of another grain train. BNSF 7254 West emerges from the bore after nearly being stalled on the east side of Mullan Pass due to locomotive failure. The heavy drag is finally on the move, thanks to 5 Boeing 737s. The mid-train helpers arrive and soon will begin throttling back as they reach the summit. As this train came through Austin, the rear DP unit quit loading, bringing it to a stop. Not far behind it, the westbound Boeing 737 train led by UP 6757 was on its way up the mountain. They tied on to the rear of the stalled grain train, and both went over the pass as one movement. The two trains stayed together as far as Elliston, where the Boeing train was cut loose and run around the slower grain. Wildflowers dot the landscape at the top of Mullan Pass as a warning of thunder rolls through the mountains high above the main line. The clouds soon open up as the rumble of prime movers announce a coal train has conquered the Continental Divide. It rolls past the 7,650-foot siding of Blossburg. The train passes a Y track that was used for turning helpers in olden days. An icebreaker car fabricated by MRL sits on the west leg of the Y. The whine of the rear DP's dynamic brake fans penetrate the mountain air as the coal train leaves the 2.2% mountain grade behind. The grade between Blossburg and Elliston is an easy 1.4%. We take a closer look at the icebreaker, which was made from a former Northern Pacific ballast car. Although it was a good idea, It has never been used. BNSF 4541 East passes on the main at Blossburg. BNSF 7223 East takes a bare table train along Dog Creek between Elliston and Blossburg. A Norfolk Southern unit leads a wind turbine train just east of Elliston on a brisk winter's afternoon. At Elliston, helpers are being cut out of a westbound manifest using the east switch. The 4 MRL units slowly enter the siding and will stop with the rear of the train just short of the switch points. The helpers pull away and enter the siding. The switch is manually aligned for the main, and the train makes a reverse move to a joint with the rear section of cars. Using the radio, the helper's conductor guides the engineer as he backs his train to an easy hook.
One car. 20 feet, and that'll do. 6318, over.
The train gets the air up, and soon BNSF 6318 West is on the move as it races toward Missoula. West of Avon, MRL 382 is again seen on the point of the LM. BNSF 6318 West is again seen following the Little Blackfoot River near milepost 44.6 on its downhill run to Garrison. The train continues to Garrison, where it will meet an eastbound bear table. Soon the skies open up as BNSF 7223 East passes the camera. BNSF 6331 East pulls out of the 9,401-foot siding at Garrison with an empty coal train. milepost 50.9, Garrison marks a location where the old Northern Pacific line through Butte and Homestake Pass meets with the 3rd subdivision. BNSF Railway currently operates a line south to Butte. Although the tracks still exist over Homestake Pass, the line was embargoed in the 1980s and has deteriorated greatly. After doing some work at Garrison, the LM continues west through Phosphate. When visiting MRL's 3rd sub, a stop at the famous barn near Jen's is a must. BNSF 4486 East passes the Montana landmark near milepost 64.6. From Garrison west, the 3rd subdivision follows the Clark Fork River, although it is not visible in this scene. Just east of Drummond, BNSF 7486 West approaches with a grain train at milepost 67. Just off the main line at milepost 92 is the old Milwaukee Road substation number 9 at Ravenna. Here, the old abandoned line parallels today's MRL. This is one of 22 substations built for the Milwaukee Road's electrified lines in Montana, Idaho, and Washington. Electrification ended in 1974, and the railroad filed for abandonment of their western lines in 1980. This is one of only 7 substations that still remain. Continuing west toward Missoula, trains roll through Nimrod Tunnel and Bonita Tunnel shown here. The abandoned Milwaukee Road line parallels today's MRL, and an old bore exists just to the left of the tunnel. An eastbound coal train races through the tunnel near milepost 94.3. We catch the LM train one last time as it arrives at its destination of Missoula. The train has traveled over 340 miles from its point of origin at Laurel Yard. The cars will be switched here at Missoula and sent to their proper destinations. The power will be serviced and sent back east, pulling this train's counterpart, the ML. A classic NP depot is located at the east end of the yard, across from the fueling tracks. It has been externally restored and currently contains a restaurant and commercial center. This building is a sight to see after dark. The entire depot is illuminated with many lights, making for quite a spectacle should you be in town after the sun goes down. MRL GP35 number 403 sits quietly near the fueling racks just before sundown as an empty coal train is brought to the east end of the yard. It will depart tonight for a midnight run over Mullan Pass to Helena. From an overpass, we get a better view of Missoula Yard and the car shops located nearby. This is the second largest classification yard on the MRL, as well as a division point between the 3rd and 4th subdivisions. Another GP35 number 401, wearing the new red ball logo, along with a caboose shoving platform, switch a string of cars on a busy morning in July. Missoula is headquarters for MRL and is also the location of the dispatching office for the entire system. At the west end of the car shops, you can find MRL's Big Hook, a 250-ton crane originally built for Northern Pacific in 1945. Missoula is a crew change point between Spokane and Helena. While waiting for rested crews, trains are often inspected and serviced before continuing on their journeys. We are now on the 4th subdivision, which continues 217.2 miles west to Sandpoint, Idaho. An eastbound empty coal train passes through De Smet, just west of Missoula, at milepost 125.9. The train has just come over Evaro Hill via the 10th sub, which you will see later on. BNSF 9223 West leads a grain train through De Smet in the late afternoon on January 27, 2011. It's just before sunrise on the first day of February. MRL 382 and 4308 are assigned to the gas local as it rolls through De Smet with a short string of tank cars for the ConocoPhillips ExxonMobil facility near Thompson Falls. This train usually takes the 10th subdivision over Evaro Hill, a shorter but steeper route mostly used by eastbound trains. Sometimes the gas local is routed on the 4th subdivision, which follows the easy course of the Clark Fork River. Today's day gas is doing just that, with extra cars for the Paradise local in tow. We are between Frenchtown and Lothrop at milepost 141. The 4th sub sees mainly westbound movements between De Smet and Paradise. BNSF 6015 West leads a manifest train through Lothrop. This is train MLAU SPO, a Laurel to Spokane manifest with 129 cars. MRL 261 leads the gas local past the spur at Sear, milepost 161.3. East of Superior at milepost 188, BNSF 9196 West leads a 96-car PGE coal train through the Lolo National Forest at Spring Gulch. At St. Regis, the railroad turns in a northeasterly direction, keeping the Clark Fork River not too far out of sight. Our gas local rolls through the small community on its way west to Paradise, just 22 miles away. Just west of the siding at Toole, a Laurel to Spokane manifest continues along the easy course of the Clark Fork River. Because of its gentle grade, the Northern Pacific referred to this as the water level route, or freight route. A westbound coal train crosses Bridge 208 between Toole and Paradise. Northern Pacific opened this route between De Smet and Paradise in 1909. Although it is 22 miles longer than the original transcontinental route over Evaro Hill, the ruling grade is an easy 0.5%, allowing for heavier trains and faster speeds. The Flathead River joins the Clark Fork River at Paradise, and together they make their way west through the Bitterroot Mountains of western Montana. Also making its way west is a Laurel to Pasco manifest. The train crosses the Clark Fork at Bridge 218. From Paradise, we will return to Missoula, this time over the original route via Evaro Hill. After doing its work at Pipeline, MRL 4308 takes the gas local past the Paradise Depot and onto the 10th sub near milepost 64. The gas train serves as a pipeline between Missoula and Thompson Falls. It usually runs twice a day, with the day gas departing Missoula at 7 a.m. and the night gas at 5 p.m. The white CONX cars belong to ConocoPhillips and are on their way back to Missoula, where they will be filled at a loading facility, then sent back to Thompson Falls. Near the depot, MRL 261 leads the night gas into the siding and past power for the Paradise local. The night gas will be meeting an eastbound before continuing to the unloading facility near Thompson Falls. Looking back toward the junction, we see a red over lunar signal. This means the MRL West dispatcher is ready for the approaching train and has aligned the switch for the 10th subdivision. BNSF 4761 passes the depot at milepost 0 on the 4th sub as it prepares for an evening journey over Evaro Hill. The 10th sub is dark territory and therefore operated by track warrant control. With no traffic ahead, this train has a warrant from the MRL West dispatcher all the way to CTC de Smet, where the line meets up with the 4th subdivision just west of Missoula. We step back into winter and behold the Bitterroot Range in its cool splendor. The recent Arctic weather that marched through the Rockies has left its icy mark in the Flathead River. This is a setting as BNSF 4463 East takes a grain train along the 10th sub between Paradise and Perma. Here is the same scene in July, shot just a half mile to the east. The day gas is on its way back to Missoula. It rolls along the Flathead River just west of Perma at milepost 54. The Mission Range rises stately above the Flathead River between Perma and Dixon, making a nice backdrop for the eastbound BNSF we first caught at Paradise. The sun is low in the western sky as the train rolls by on the jointed rail. Just to the east is Dixon, the site of an old depot now used by Maintenance of Way. This is also where the Polson branch ties into the 10th sub. At the time of our visit, the line was embargoed due to damage from spring flooding. Just east of the depot, an empty coal train crosses the Jocko River on a warm summer evening. Soon, the fast running is a thing of the past as trains climb the west side of Evaro Hill. Moving to the summit near milepost 10.6, BNSF 9271 East will soon be transitioning from power to dynamics for the steep 2.2% downhill run to De Smet. The sun rises on a cold winter's morning atop Evaro Hill as the day gas climbs the grade just east of Summit in the shadow of the mountain. It's a short train today with only 4 cars. The highlight of Evaro Hill is the Marent Trestle, stretching 797 feet across Marent Gulch. The day gas glides down grade at milepost 7. The 225-foot-tall trestle is more impressive when seen from the ground. After crossing the trestle, the forest breaks into open country as the 2.2% downhill grade continues. The gas cans are again seen on their eastbound run down the mountain. Night is coming on quickly as BNSF 9271 East completes its run over Evaro Hill, joining the 4th sub again at De Smet. Soon, this crew will be able to tie up for the evening at Missoula. As the train continues into the night, let's return to Paradise for the final leg of our journey to Sandpoint. It's the first day of February as BNSF 5272 leads a westbound grain train over Bridge 218 on the approach to Paradise. Between Eddy and Plains, an eastbound empty grain train rolls amongst the snow-covered mountains of the Lolo National Forest. The day gas sprints through East Eddy with 10 full tank cars for pipeline. Pipeline is located just east of Thompson Falls, with a spur track at milepost 29.3. Let's take a moment to watch the gas local as it stops to do its work. The tank cars are carefully backed into the unloading facility and are spotted right where they are needed. After the loads have been set out and the empty cars picked up, the train heads west on the spur. The boxcar is a required safety buffer between the engines and tank cars when out on the main line. Right now, the consist is being pulled backwards past the crossover switch. The power is run around the train, and soon it is ready to make the 100-mile trip back to Missoula. A classic NP signal tower still guards the east switch at Thompson Falls, near milepost 31.5. A PGE coal train takes the 11,430-foot siding to meet 1 eastbound. BNSF 4761 heads east on the main with 83 cars. Continuing west, trains roll through Childs and Trout Creek. Near milepost 56, BNSF 7680 leads a 110-car grain train over the causeway just west of Trout Creek. Just west of mile marker 57, the railroad crosses the Clark Fork on a single span through Truss Bridge. Crossing into Idaho, we are in time to catch BNSF 8245 East take the siding at Colby to meet another westbound PGE coal train. The snowy Cabinet Mountains make a nice backdrop for this scene. The train soon disappears into the 12,256-foot siding. Colby is located just east of Clark Fork Bridge, also known as Bridge 92. The PGE coal train bound for Boardman, Oregon, crosses the 1,174-foot structure on a chilly winter afternoon. Here is the bridge from the other side as a Laurel to Spokane manifest crosses the river. You will notice the Clark Fork is running much higher than it was back in February. The spring of 2011 brought serious flooding to Montana and neighboring states throughout the Midwest. MRL was forced to embargo 2 of their branch lines due to flood damage. After snaking between the Bitterroot and Cabinet Mountains of western Montana and northern Idaho, the Clark Fork empties into the 55-mile-long Lake Pend Oreille near Hope. We get a second look at the Laurel to Spokane manifest as it crosses the Pack River Causeway, which spans the northeast corner of the lake. The train stopped at Hope to set out a car and is again proceeding west across the causeway at restricted speed. A loaded coal train races west between Hope and Kootenai. The train passes the last talking detector on Montana Rail Link.
MRL detector, milepost 111.8. No defects. Repeat, no defects. Total axle 484. Speed 44 miles per hour. Temperature 25 degrees out.
We have arrived at Sandpoint, Idaho, the western terminus of Montana Rail Link trackage. The small depot is used by Maintenance of Way for BNSF and is a stop for Amtrak's Empire Builder between Chicago and Seattle. A BNSF stack train comes off the 4th subdivision and enters BNSF's Kootenai River sub for the remaining 66-mile run via trackage rights to Spokane, Washington. This train was a BNSF reroute due to major flooding in North Dakota. As you have noticed, stack trains don't normally run on MRL. the train heads west toward Spokane on a busy section of railroad known as the Funnel. We have traveled over 654 miles since beginning at Jones Junction, journeying from the Great Plains through the Rockies in summer's glory and winter's chill. Through it all, we hope to have given you a taste of what you will find if you ever decide to pay a visit to this amazing regional railroad, the Montana Rail Link. Thanks for watching.